Indeed, James, it's very exciting. And she's right in front of the car calling, which means that she's showing complete trust in us. To be sitting here calling right next to us means that she doesn't mind if the little cub comes out when we're here, which is fantastic news. It means that our afternoon of giving her space, just giving her a little bit of time, means that she's now worked out that we're not a threat in any way and that she's happy for this little cub to come out. So that's the amazing thing about it. And it just goes to show, if you're just respectful to these animals, then you can be rewarded, and also patient. That's the other thing. Now there's a really big thicket just to my left, and that's where she's looking into, and she's kind of pleading for this little cub to come out. She's like, come on, little one, time for you to come out. You can see what we're dealing with on our left hand side, so even if this little cub is to our left, we're not going to be able to see it. But if the cub was where we were, she certainly wouldn't be comfortable like she is now. You can see she's calling, looking down in there, and hopefully this little one's going to come bounding out of this thicket. There we go. I'm sure it's coming, Seb. The fact that she's taken a step forward, I'm looking on this left hand side. I'm hoping it's going to come out. I'm so excited for Seb, actually. I'm more excited for Seb than I am for myself at this stage, which is quite cool. So it's always the best thing when somebody gets to see a new leopard for the first time, and especially I know Seb loves leopards, and we've spent so much time with leopards over the winter period at Djuma. So I'm hoping that Seb gets to see it as well, which is going to be cool. But the fact that she's looking into this bush and she's calling so much hopefully means that this little one is going to come climbing out shortly. Come on, little one, don't be nervous of us. But look at her. Isn't she not one of the most beautiful cats? I think she's absolutely beautiful. I'm just looking around, all around me, because I don't know where this cub could be. The way that she's kind of looking, you never know. She's kind of just staring in different directions. It's not behind us anyway, is it, Seb? No, I don't see it. She's calling, though. Normally cubs come when they're called like this, so, you know, sometimes, like I say, particularly with this little cub, is that she's a little naughty, and so maybe it's just deciding to kind of slowly venture in. Not sure about all of this at this stage, but let's see. How cool is that sound? That sound makes me the most excited you can imagine. I love when you hear that. It's a very special thing when you hear it. Now you see she's just, there we go, she's chuffing, so I think she's seen it. Let's have a look, Seb. It might be coming from the left. I can't see it yet myself, but she perked up quite a bit, and she kind of looked in that direction, so I don't know if it either responded or it came bounding out a little bit that she saw it. There it comes, Seb. Seb, it's there on the left hand side. It's coming to Mom. Look at how cute it is, Seb. It is the cutest little thing. Come on, little one. Hello. Welcome. How cute is that, guys? Hello, little one. You are a little rock star. How sweet is that little cub? How cute. Now it's going to get a little grooming session. Yes, where have you been? Come, you need to get cleaned, and you can see there when she lifted her tail, most definitely a little female. Now I think Thandi's going to take it down to the meat. We might see it go to a carcass for its first time. I think it's probably been introduced already. Oh, it's being licked now and rolled onto its back. Look at that. How sweet is that? Oh, that is just the best thing to see in the whole world. That is very, very cool. We are so spoilt to be able to see something like this. We really are. It is the most epic thing in the whole world to be able to spend time with a leopard and its little cub. And so we are really being kind of given a treat to be in this kind of place, and for her to have the confidence to call it out right in front of the car is just something spectacular. So we really are, like I say, being spoilt. The rain is also starting to fall. It's just kind of becoming a moody afternoon. Seb, how was that?
Awesome.
Is that awesome, Seb? Seb says he's so happy. Oh, look at this. Look how cute that is. This little one is playing with Mom and is licking. Oh, that is just the coolest thing to see. Are we not so spoiled that we have this on our doorstep at the moment? This is literally not even 5 minutes from camp, and this is what we have. And look at the size of those paws already. They are massive. You can see it's now biting Thandi's ear. This is very cute. It's the coolest thing to watch. But like I say, I mean, those paws are huge already. And you think about the size of that cat and the size of Thandi, then you can see just with the sort of paw itself just how big it is on Thandi's head. Now, you can see Thandi's getting a bit kind of sort of concerned because the wind is blowing and there's the roof is touching some of these branches and it's scraping, so that's why she's just looking in our direction, is because there's a bit of noise from the roof itself. But it really is the sweetest thing to watch this little cub play with Thandi, and I look forward to many more days, hopefully, of watching this and seeing how this little one grows up. It is the coolest thing that we've got her around, and that, like I say, she's chosen Juma to have her den, and not just Juma, but right in the heart. Oh, there we go, jumping on her head. Look at that, the instinct is already there. You see that? The instinct to get the paws around and to go for the head, that's all already built in. And now she's busy pulling fur out of the back of her mom's head. There's a bit of chunk of fur that came out there, and also a little grooming that's going on. So she's already learned what grooming is and how to get rid of certain things. And how cute is that? You normally see mom grooming baby, but other way around with this little one. This little one's got its own attitude altogether, and that's quite a cool sort of look of the two of them. And you can see, even though it's tiny, its ears are almost the same size as Thandi's when they're behind her head like that. You can just see the ear kind of sticking out, not that much smaller, so it takes them a bit of a while to grow into their ears. They always look a bit awkward for the first few months with these massive ears, but she will grow into them. And if it is that same sort of lineage as that what Thandi's produced, all of her offspring have had rather large ears to start with. Wabayiza, Bahuti, Kuchava, Tamba, they've all had the larger than normal ears. Well, maybe not larger than normal, but look at this little one. Are you pushing mom around? How cool. Kathy O'Hire, you're saying, is the cub dark in colour, or is it because it's wet that it's looking darker? Well, it is darker in colour than Thandi because the spots are much closer together, so the contrast between the light and dark is far less. You've got a lot more dark on that small little body than you do on Thandi. And so, oh, look at this. Thandi, you are so relaxed this afternoon, my girl. Well done. And so it appears darker, but it's also probably a little damp. There is a bit of sort of misty kind of rain that's starting to fall now, and so maybe there's a bit of dampness on it. But it's more that the spots are so close together that it appears darker. Poor Thandi's ear is about to be eaten off at this rate. He's being groomed with much vigor and passion by this little one. Look at that. You see the little teeth there? How cool. Shame. This is the cutest little thing in the whole world. And in a way, it's actually, we always want, when we see kind of have cubs and things, we always try and ask for kind of the biggest litters possible, because it's always nice to, have more than one that grows up, and in case anything may happen, that there's always a more chance of a surviving cub. But sometimes one cub is precious because the interaction between the mother and that cub tends to be a lot more and a lot stronger. It's amazing actually to watch the two of them go about their things and the way that they do bond together. Lilo, you're wondering when leopard cubs start making vocalizations. Well, almost immediately. So this little cub, I've heard it squeaking and squawking and making noise towards mom as well. And so the other day when she was moving it to a different den, and then we found that this little cub was fairly vocal actually at times, and like I say, squeaking and chuffing back at mom. So they are able to make vocalizations, but if in terms of a territorial vocalization, she won't make that until she reaches about 3.5 to 4 years old, and she's got a territory of her own. That's when she'll start making that sound. So a long way to go for this little one before that happens, but it certainly has got the feisty nature to be a queen of Juma at some stage in the future. She certainly seems she's got it all under control and is really trying to kind of take over the world already, and is not worried about a thing. I mean, we're sitting here and she's paying no attention to us, that little cub. It just goes to show how relaxed. I mean, I'm talking and we're not far from the little cub at all, and yet it's still taking it all in its stride. It's looking around, it's playing with mom, and it is completely relaxed with this whole process, which is so cool to see. I was hoping it was going to go down to the carcass to go and play with the carcass, but unfortunately it seems that mom is more of a play station than the carcass will be, although when it gets a little older, we know from experience that cubs will pick up and throw and throttle and move and sort of play around with their food quite a bit if it's small enough to do so. You can see Thandi's getting annoyed with her tail being bitten. She's flicking her tail all over the place, and that's even making it worse because the little cub will certainly start going after that tail if it can. The more it moves, the more of a game it becomes between mom and cub. You just see the movement in the background with the tail and the little cub kind of chasing it around quite a bit. Now, often what happens when they play with the tail like this and they bite it, it triggers these leopards to get up and start moving and to reposition because they get a bit irritated with the cub biting at it, and so this is how it goes. Right, guys, well, it is such a special sighting, and there's a few people that have been around for a while that really want to come and see this little cub and spend some time and have a little look, and we've been so fortunate to be able to see this that I think, you know, it's best that we try and give some others a chance to see this. So while we kind of move out and allow others to have a look at this beautiful little cub, let's go back across to James, and I hope that he's not getting too wet as he starts to move, I'm sure, closer to home. Well, I'm still with Thandi. I'm not back with her. I never got out of here in the first place because the little cub, through movement, has run behind the car, and I can't move anywhere until it comes back around towards where Thandi is because I don't want to scare it and be between Thandi and the cub. So I'm just sitting waiting. So the cub ran into this big thicket on our left-hand side. You can see there's this fallen over tree right behind the car here, and so that fallen over tree is where it's run into. And so now I'm hoping that it's going to go back towards Thandi. Otherwise it might be a very long afternoon of us just sitting here waiting for little one to move back that way. Like I said, I don't want to cause Thandi any stress by being between her and her cub. We know that she's a very protective mother, and while she's fast asleep now, she's not really too concerned about the cub being close to us. At the end of the day, I just don't want to stress her anyway, or the cub actually. I don't want the cub to get any fear of the car. I want it to be a situation where the cub learns that the car is not something to worry about, and to see mom's reaction. And if mom is growling and hissing and charging, well then, you know, the cub starts to learn that too. And so it's better just to be patient and wait, and thankfully all the other guys that wanted to come to the sighting, because it started to rain, have decided that they're not going to come, and that allows us then just to sit here and be patient and not have to worry too much at all, which is really good news. So it's a good situation to be in, and you can see, like I say, Thandi is now having a well-deserved nap. She's been a busy girl this afternoon. She's, you know, seen people on foot, then she had a bit of a feed, and then cub came out. There was a bit of playing and grooming, so nice for her just to have a nice little nap. Now, the interesting part about all of this is through kind of moving around here and kind of going back and forth and round and about, is that we've kind of ended up in a place much closer than where I thought. We are literally, I would say, maybe 20 meters from Philemon's Dip itself. So I think that she's maybe keeping this little cub in the little pipes underneath the road on Philemon's Dip, and we've just been driving over there without even knowing that she's been there. So I think that's where it's going, because if I look where we are, the sausage tree is right here. It's very, very close to where we are. So as said, pans back, you'll see a bar and a bit of a aerial, which I do apologize about, but there's the sausage tree right there from Philemon's Dip where the aerial is. I do apologize about, like I say, but that's the sausage tree in the background there. So we're very, very close to the dip itself, and that's where I'm pretty sure the little cub ran off to. So hopefully that's where it went off to, because otherwise it's going to be a situation where, like I said, we're going to be stuck for quite some time in this thicket and not be able to get out. So at least, though, like I say, Thandi's not concerned, which is good for us, and she's having a really nice nap. And what we'll do is we'll just see how this goes. Hopefully the cub will come back out again. Stephen, the success rate for cubs in terms of reaching adulthood here in the Sabi Sands is obviously it differs because there's obviously changes in males, and depending on what's happening with the males will reflect a success rate in the cubs. But it normally works out to about 30% of cubs that are born within the Sabi Sands are raised to independence, so not necessarily maturity, but independence, which is a very low figure. You would think 3 out of every 10 cubs is not very high at all. And if you look at somebody like Shadow, well, not somebody, but a leopard like Shadow, she unfortunately has had a really poor run of things in terms of luck, and has unfortunately lost quite a number of cubs. So she would have brought the average down, whereas somebody was a leopard like Karula would have brought that average up a little bit. So Karula, even though she was 9 out of 10 cubs she was raising to adulthood, you know, you've got a situation where Shadow was only probably 1 out of 20 or so. So, that's why it balances out at around, on average, 3 out of every 10. But, you obviously get times in certain areas where you get a very stable leopard dynamic. So, we've had a really stable dynamic here for the last couple of years in the form of Tingana, and that means that, Karula was able to have her offspring. Now he's got offspring with Thandi, and hopefully he'll be able to raise those as well as Kuchava, because Kuchava ultimately should be Tingana's offspring as well if she's had little ones. So, there's a lot that Tingana needs to do, and he's got a lot of work because there's a number of young males that are starting to push into this area. Right, well, Thandi's having a nap. We're going to sit tight. Like I say, we're going to just try and see if this cub does emerge from behind us, because like I say, I don't want to frighten it. So while I'm patient and wait for the cub to move off, let's go back across to Steve. And, well, I believe he's got something that's not spotted, but striped. Well, I've left Thandi already, Steve, but I found a more special animal, and they like to congregate in groups of 3, and they're slowly walking down the road. We don't want to spook them, so we've stopped quite far away. Look, there they go. It's all about the same height, really. Not very tall animals, but very fast gait as they move along. And, oh, look, they're looking over their shoulder. They've been detected. Now, whether or not they're going to move faster is, no, they're going to now dodder along, as James likes to do. Here's another story, isn't he? Oh, jeez. Oh, there we go. Well done, James. That was very good. Although all we can see is your posterior, should I say, sticking out of a bush at the moment, which is probably not the best view of James Henry that we could ever ask for. Right.